Hierarchy. Hierarchy, as I use the term, refers to an imaginary top-down ordering that an alienated group gives itself spontaneously to provide itself with ground or the appearance of realness. Through the hierarchy, we each monitor our own and one another's conformity to the rotation of the false self matrix, so as to contain the tendency of the desire within each of us to break on through to the other side, thus requiring, via the hierarchy's ordering, that the false self matrix be taken as real. The ricochet of mutual recognition, when it occurs, spontaneously dissolves the hierarchy as an alienated mode of being, which may produce a violent response by defenders of the false self matrix, threatened by the fear of humiliation. So, we've all seen this. People acting as if they are underneath their boss. And of course we do this too. We're conditioned within the society. We're only partly liberated from it if we are struggling to create a new, more authentically egalitarian world. But when people act underneath the judge, when they act deferential and less than, they're creating or participating in an imaginary top-down ordering in which the judge is higher than the person who's imagining him or herself in relation to the judge. Or, the President of the United States comes out and has a whole seal in front of him on his stand there to say, I am the President of the United States. I am higher than anyone else in the room. So that, in reality, there is no above and below. No one is higher than anyone else. We are all here together on exactly the same plane as present beings. And what hierarchy does in the world, and I'm not now talking about, there really exists hierarchy in the sense that some people are in control of food, land, factories, dwelling places, and they can throw you out. So that of course is true at a physical level, but my use of the word hierarchy in the book is to describe this imaginary level that the false self, as it floats on the outside of the self, creates in order to give itself a kind of necessity and ground. So in a world in which people are behaving according to their artificial conditioning, always a part of this is being beneath someone who is ordering this, who is requiring this. The judges who simply feel we should follow what the founding fathers say are putting the founding fathers as an imaginary figures above them, telling us how to be. And that is all within the realm of enacting the false self of the American citizen. I'm not saying there isn't also a real dimension of that we could talk about, of what it means to live in this community and its heritage. I'm not talking about the fact that social movements haven't been great in their struggle for liberation, or that rock and roll isn't a wonderful medium, or that jeans aren't cool, or that there's a whole range of expressiveness in American history and culture that is positive. But I'm emphasizing the negative, or the imaginary aspect, where we imagine we're part of a false community that isn't real to our present being. And I'm saying that is always characterized by thinking something like the founding fathers, I must follow the intent of the founding fathers in deciding how I live my life. It's very important to see this imaginary element because it's absurd. And yet, I guess in some way we all tend to participate in it when we're adapting to the culture around us. The boss comes in and we're less than the boss. He's in charge. Well, to the extent that we can manifest our full presence, that is much less powerful. But if we can't manifest it because we're afraid of revealing who we really are, then we participate in this to make the false self that we enact seem like it's real, seem like this is what we must be following. When people are participating in that and believe in the hierarchy, if you act as though it doesn't exist, it can produce a violent reaction, because people are extremely attached to it, since it protects them against the vulnerability that they are denying inside themselves. Today, in today's world, if you say you don't believe in Donald Trump, you can get people very, very angry at you in the wrong community. They can be furious because they're very attached to the hierarchy that he certainly asserts that he's on top of. This is long, but the one important aspect of this is that when little children grow up, to the extent that the father in the family is treated as above everyone else, they will develop an authoritarian sense of how they are as the child who is forming with the child's personality, and who is above them, and then they will try and enact that later on in life themselves, that they are supposed to be, and in a way must be, the above persona who recognize them as the below child. Whereas if we're succeeding in making the world better, parents and children will see each other as humans. And children won't be treated as little kids, who you talk to like that, from above, but rather as living beings who are co-present with us. They have a lot to learn from us, but they're fully equal to us as in their humanity. To transmit that full feeling of equality helps to build social change, helps to build a new consciousness in the world.